Barriers to communication. Hi, my name is Ronald Hughes, and this is Newsphere Business, the video channel for a company called Contact Ignition here in Dublin, Ireland. And there are three major types of business or barriers to communication. They are physical, psychological, and semantic. Physical barriers to communication are the inability to hear or understand me based upon the fact that I'm not moving my mouth properly when we're speaking, and if I mumble and everything, that could cause a physical barrier to communication. And psychological barriers are the barriers in which I decide that the person who's mumbling when I speak to them or who's speaking to me and believes that I'm mumbling and may decide that it's because of some sort of disrespect and decide that the communication isn't worth involving in. And then we have semantics. Semantics are the difference between how I understand the words that I'm using to mean the meanings behind those words and your understanding of those meanings. There are some things that are really important when it comes to communication that you have to really be aware of. Yeah, the physical, the psychological, and semantic barriers are very important ones. How to get past them? Well, first off, you have the physiology. You need to be aware of how you sound when you're speaking to customers so that they can get an understanding, that you get a better way of performing when it comes to dealing with those customers. Make sure that you analyze your own performance. Sometimes it helps to be in front of a video camera like this, and that can help you to improve your performance. And secondly, you've got the opportunity to get feedback from other people. And then thirdly, there's simply the matter of rehearsing and working on that. Yeah, in front of a mirror is fine as well. Psychological barriers are much more difficult to get past because you're not always aware that somebody has had an attitude that is picking up on something that you are and doesn't like you. You know, it could be something as simple as your origin. You know, it's like I've been living in Ireland for a number of years and find that the prejudice of Irish people is pretty well established. That if you're not from here, you'll find it far more difficult to get on with a lot of people. Yeah, the semantic barriers, on the other hand, are the ones that can have the more impact as making sure that you're utilizing the same language. You know, I got over here and one of the first things that they started talking about was the crack, which means in Ireland the fun. But I came from a culture where that was the name of a drug and it was not a good thing. So, you know, it's just understanding how that all impacts on you is going to give you more benefits when it comes to dealing with customers. Now, how do you get past the semantic barriers is an important one. There's some things that you can do to improve the communication all over. You know, one is you can listen carefully. Listening with attention and intention will get you greater retention. The second thing is to move on to listening actively, and you've got the positioning where active listening is that you repeat what you're hearing in your own head, and expressing clearly what you're hearing back, and some sort of reiteration of what you've just heard. Employing feedback is that sort of reiteration, that when you speak and tell people what you believe you've just heard, you're far more likely to get a better communication. You need to also be careful that when you're looking at the different things that you have a structured plan in which to adhere to, where you got the one where I'm just looking at the plan there in the middle of this to make sure that I'm covering the details that I wanted to make clear in this video. You've got to make sure that you're using straightforward language. It was Samuel Clemens who said it was better to use a lot of little words than it is to use one large word in communication. And if anyone remembers the works of Mark Twain, He would always utilize far more small words, including changing his own name to ones that were easier to remember when it came to his writings. You get the whole thing of avoiding conclusions. Jumping to a conclusion, making an assessment, deciding that something is the way it is early in the communication can be detrimental to the overall communication. Don't make up your mind that you know what the customer wants early on in the communication. Don't make up your mind that you've heard what the person's saying early in the conversation. I'm always amazed at the people who interject in the middle of my expressing myself to them to tell me that they understand what I'm saying, when that isn't what it's about. It's about clearly understanding what I'm saying. If you got it very quickly, doesn't mean that you have everything. And so jumping into the conversation and letting a person know that you know what they're about to say is rude, as well as a disruption to the communication. And then we finally get the don't interrupt. Interrupting somebody ever is always a difficulty that's going to cause great pains to them. So make sure that you cover the bases when you're looking at your communications and you don't fall on one of the three biggest barriers: semantic, psychological, or physiological barriers to communication. My name is Ronald Hughes. This is Newsphere Business, the video training channel for Contact Ignition in Dublin, Ireland. I hope that all came out okay. If you have more interest in improving how your organization profits from communication, then contact us here. We're on 0876-439-816 on the mobile phone, which is country code 353. And if you would like to try us on email, we're on info@contactignition.com. Thank you very much. Goodbye.